Coming up this week on the Wet Net Outdoors podcast.
And I was like, okay. So we immediately, got in and started finding debris fields, and we would radio the Coast Guard, and they'd send the chopper over, do a grid pattern over us, and then they'd fly away. And then at that time, we knew it was time to clean up the debris. And we picked up their coolers, their shoes, life jacket, jammed in the linkage on the jet. And I'm sitting here just trying. And we start drifting back, and there's this Widowmaker in the middle of the river. And I was like, this is going to be bad, guys. This is going to be so bad. And they're all looking at me with eyeballs that big around. They're like, you're the go captain. You know what you're doing. I was like, we're going under.
Yeah.
And we hit that log, that Widowmaker, and literally 2 seconds later, out, down. We go all the way under.
Before we get this episode rolling, I'd like to shout out our awesome sponsors. First on the list, we have Fish Sauce with the Rod Positioning Gadget, also known as the RPG. It's a slick little tool that'll help you get your rod holders good and tight. Find them online at www.fishsauce.com. Next up, we have Anglers Unlimited. For those of you that like to support local businesses, these guys are doing it right. They have all the tackle you could possibly need under one roof. They also have a huge selection of fresh and cured baits. Robert and his guys are sure to get you lined out with what you need for success. Open 7 days a week from 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. Stop in and say hi, and be sure to tell them Clayton with Wet Net sent you. After that, we have Northwild Outdoors. Northwild is the top of the line when it comes to spinner blade patterns and paint quality. They also do custom paint jobs. Go check them out in Anglers Unlimited or Bob's Sporting Goods, and find them online at www.northwildgear.com. And last but not least, we have Coldwater Strong. Coldwater Strong makes the highest quality salmon and steelhead gear for boat and bank anglers alike. Find their gear online at www.coldwaterstrong.com. What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in here for another week of the Wet Net Outdoors podcast. And we got a funny story about this one. This is take 2 of segment 1.
Yes.
There was, we'll call it technical difficulties. Somebody forgot to hit record.
Buttons aren't toys.
Yeah. Shout out to Carson Grant. Love you, buddy.
Yeah.
You look beautiful. So, if you notice the lighting is a little bit different in part 2, that's because we recorded that one 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
So, first things first, as always, please be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that fun shit. I can't believe how much confusion there is on I get questions all the time. What platforms are you on? So we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Nice.
Anywhere you get your podcast,
there you go.
We're on there.
Nice.
So if you want to watch videos, YouTube's getting the majority of our traffic right now. So but yeah, we're on all of the podcast platforms.
Nice.
So, next on the list, I need to give a huge shout out to Lucas Holmgren.
Yeah.
And Ian
Lucas is a great
Bristow.
guy, man.
Oh, yeah.
Both great guys.
Yeah. I don't know Ian personally, but they worked really hard, and they put together a killer intro song for me.
Cool.
It's completely unique. It's never been made before. That's
Nice.
mine, and
Awesome.
I'm really, really excited about that. They did a killer job. Super, super talented dudes. I don't know Ian's social media info, but you should definitely go check out Lucas on YouTube.
Yep.
Lucas Holmgren Music. I think he's got a handful of new songs out right now.
He does a podcast too.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
Salmon Trout Steelheader. Yeah. So go check him out. Check out Ian. Awesome dudes, and thank you guys so much. Seriously, I really, really appreciate it. Next on the list, we have our sponsors. We got Anglers Unlimited, Fish Sauce, Northwild, Coldwater Strong. I really appreciate all those dudes.
Talon.
And, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Talon Rods, yeah.
we have a new announcement. We have a new sponsorship with Talon Rods, and I am super stoked for that one. Jake and Oscar seem awesome.
Amazing people.
Yeah.
Amazing people.
They make-
I've known Jake 10 years or longer. One of the best humans I've ever met.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it seems like they make killer fucking rods.
They put their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've been running those rods since before even Oscar was around.
Yeah.
And it is a evolution, and they are totally dedicated to making the finest products that you can buy in the United States.
Yeah, that's awesome. They seem like super awesome dudes, and I love that it's American made.
Yeah.
That's a huge.
They're rolling
point.
that carbon right there in Woodland, Washington, and making it happen for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that sponsorship announcement, we also have a giveaway that we're going to be announcing here within the next couple weeks. We're going to be giving away 2 of the 12-foot 15 to 50 trolling rods.
Those are bad mama jambas.
Yeah, and you played a role in developing those, didn't you?
Yeah, I was the test pilot on those. I tried them. I think I put the first one in the water 4 years ago, and ran it for a couple, the whole season. Gave them some feedback. It was a little stiff here, a little too light here, that kind of thing. And Jake dialed it right in. Oscar, made some adjustments to it, adjusted the grips and things like that. But that thing is amazing. I run it for everything. I run it in the ocean, I run it in the river, I run it for plugs.
Oh, really?
I mean, it runs a plug really well.
Really? That's
and it gives you that span. It gets when you're trolling, you got current in the ocean, especially. It's nice to just have everything kind of separated. So those 12-foot rods are key to my program. Yeah, and I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, I've only got an 18-foot boat, so spread is really key for me too.
Yeah,
trying to keep rods just from tangling with each other. Oh
gosh, 100%. Yeah, that's just downtime. You don't want that.
Oh no, absolutely not. The more time you have your gear fishing, the more time you are fishing.
Yep.
So
100%.
So so we're gonna be giving away 2 of those 12-foot
nice
Talon rods. We're gonna be giving away one of the carbon fiber net handles. I think it's a black one, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, those things. I run those Ranger nets, and they're kind of heavy, the handle. Yeah. And I switched them out for those Talon ones. Made all the difference in the world. Yeah. And then I run a Beckman, and on the Beckman, he actually gave me an extension. I don't know if he gave the one to you that has an extension, but they make an extendable one.
Oh, really?
I mean, that thing's like 15 foot long if you want it to be.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I use it for kokanee mostly, if people get the fish far away. I don't know if I use it for like a 30-pound Chinook, but I definitely use it for a, 1 pound, kokanee.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. So we got that Talon giveaway. So keep your eyes peeled on the Facebook. That's probably where I will announce it at. And that's going to be combined with our North Wild giveaway, our Cold Water Strong giveaway. And I need to touch base with Jerry with Flat Out Fishing, repping their shirt here, because he wants to give away a walleye trip. So nice. that should be a pretty loaded giveaway once we get it.
He does really good with those. I watch him on Facebook.
Oh, they are fun dudes. I just did my last episode with them a few weeks ago, and they are fun.
I don't know them personally, but I do. Like I said, I like to watch everybody, and it looks like they really do a good job.
Yeah. No, they're killers, and I think they're running like 5 boats now. I think you said.
Oh wow!
So they got a pretty big operation.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, and they all seem awesome. Yeah. Alrighty, I think we got all that stuff there out of the way. So let's take a little bit here, and we'll dive into a little bit of kind of your background, where you came from, your fishing and hunting background, and then your time in the service, and kind of everything that's kind of spitball from there.
So I grew up in Missouri.
Okay.
So I hadn't even seen an ocean until I was like early 20s. Never really experienced anything, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Did 24 years military, got bounced all over the country, ended up in Sacramento, and found the ocean there. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I am a saltwater fiend. Went to, Afghanistan for about a year and a half, came home, and they were like, hey, where do you want to go? And I was like, Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. And I worked for General Crystal in Afghanistan, so I had choice of assignment. Like, I could go anywhere I wanted. Like, it wasn't like, you got to go to the asshole of the world. Right. It was like, you want the Pentagon? You want, wherever you want. And I was like, oh, I want Vancouver, Washington. Yeah. They thought I was nuts. That's funny. And I kind of, had made up my mind, like I was going to devote a little more time to my family and raising it and, being a part of it. I really was gung-ho that first 10 years of combat, 10 years of service, and did everything I could to, climb the ranks and that. And I just kind of made a decision when I came home, like, my dad had passed while I was in Afghanistan, and it was a lot of like defining moments in my life. Right. And I was like, I just want to be a dad and a husband and, figure this out.
Yeah.
So I came up here.
Try to have kind of a sense of normalcy, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's super hard in the military.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So I spent 13 years in Vancouver, and it's very unnormal. Like, nobody could figure out why I was still there. Yeah. Even my commanders are becoming like, what is going on with you? I was like, I am the golden unicorn. Like, enjoy me. And, about 10 years ago, I caught my first salmon. I went out with a buddy at Bonneville, and we were anchor fishing with wobblers.
Oh, yeah.
And hooked into like a nice 28-pound Chinook.
Oh, shit.
And I was like,
28-pounders for your first.
Yeah, that was my first fish. I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is like what I want to do. Like, I devoted like the rest of my time, my free time, to like figuring this out.
Yeah.
I like watched YouTube videos from Addicted and went with everybody I could, got on every boat I could, and ended up on Cameron Black's boat on a wobbler fishing trip. And I never fished wobblers, and I was learning, I was asking questions. It was a slow day.
Right.
We were kind of waiting for that tide to change, and I didn't understand tides then. I mean, I didn't even know what tides were. Like what's a tide? Why would the water go away and then come back?
Yeah.
And this girl was like kind of mocking him, like, aren't we gone catching, fishing? And he was like, yes, like it'll get good, and all of a sudden the fish just like buries this wobbler, and he picks it up and puts it in her hand, like, now we're catching. And I was like, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah.
And I harassed him for like 2 seasons, like, hey, Cameron. And he was just like, oh my God, this Traeger guy. I know he probably like, he didn't mind me, but he definitely didn't like think I was like, there yet. And we just became friends, and I kind of, like, hey, I need a mentor. And he was like, And then eventually he was like, cool, all right, we're in.
Yeah.
And literally he kind of gave me my first start and like helped me out a bunch, and I can't thank him enough. And when I get to retire, they were like, there's an internship program you can apply for, and we'll pay you 6 months of your military salary, and you'll intern with somebody right before you retire. Yeah. So we wrote this big, long, like, submittal up and sent it up to legal, and legal looked at it, and we're like, can you make money fishing? And he showed him, he had to show them his, profit and losses and everything.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, this is, like, viable. Like, you can actually do this. So we sent it up, and they approved it. For the last 6 months of my military career, I was an intern for Cameron Black.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
I cleaned fish for him. I learned things from him. We hunted and fished together. And I was not going to be a fishing guide.
Yeah.
Like, I was dead set. I'm just going to be a duck hunting guide, do some consulting and things like that in the off season, and fish, for myself. Right. And he was like, no, I want you fishing.
Yeah.
And I owed him a little money for helping me out with my guiding business. And he was like, you can use that towards a down payment on a Columbia, or you can pay me.
Yeah.
And I was like, boat? Or pay him. Boat. It was not a hard choice.
Right.
So I put some money down, got my Columbia ordered. Took 2 years to get delivered.
Yeah. It sounds like it's kind of the norm, roughly.
Yeah, it's the norm. It used to not be, but COVID and everything, and it's hard to find good work right now. Yeah. Good workers right now. Yeah. So
because they're all my age, they all suck.
Yeah. Well, no, they're just they want a rural wage now. Yeah. So, and I don't blame them. So, in the meantime, I bought 2 boats, to keep me going, and now I have this boat. I love it. I can't say enough good things about that Columbia. It's a great boat.
Yeah. Super
smooth. But it was a learning curve for sure. This is my 5th season. 4th as a legal, guide. 5th year is learning. I've like been out the buoy, staying here. I used to sleep in Cameron's parents' garage. That was where I got to crash. So it was a learning curve. This year I got a little nicer digs.
Yeah.
So
you were like the stinky dog that nobody wants around him.
I mean, probably smell like fish. Joni and his dad Rich are like awesome people, and I still go visit them, and we talk a lot. And Joni's birthday's coming up, so I should probably go by and say hi.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful people. I can't say enough good things about them. Yeah. But that being said, it is nice to have somewhere that's my own.
Right.
And I'm excited for this season.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal.
Yeah,
man. So I've been out here since the 5th of July.
Yeah. And you've had some crazy days already.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We had yesterday. It was rough.
Yeah.
I mean, the bar crossing was nice, but everything else was just brutal.
Yeah.
We had quads. We had 5 hookups at once.
Oh,
I mean, we killed 4 out of those 5.
Yeah.
We were back to the dock by 9:45.
Oh man, that's killer.
Today we could have been back early too, but I, drove out to the bar and sat there on the South Jetty and looked at it, and I said, "We can cross this. It's not going to be fun."
Right.
And they were like, "Can we do something else?" And I was like, "I got a bunch of like bottom fish gear that doesn't have any barbs on it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to reel like the lightning." And they were like, "We're down." So we ran all the way down to Tillamook Head and dropped in and got a bunch of bottom fish.
How far of a run is that from here?
It's about a 22-mile run from the South Jetty.
Oh, geez.
So it's an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you're driving down 101, it feels longer than that.
It is longer on the 101 because it winds and twists. But
yeah.
when you're making a straight shot through the ocean, and we were doing pretty good speeds.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we touched on it the first time we went through this first segment, but I feel like it's really important to go over it again. You were out there on what day was that? The 13th of July.
Yeah,
when
the boat very unfortunate.
Capsized.
Yeah, that was a very unfortunate experience,
Yeah.
and I was glad that we were there to help in the way we could. I had a small craft. I'm a 26-foot Columbia, so I can get close to the water. They had the big 53s out there. There was 3 of them, and they had a helicopter. And I drove up to the 53s. I said, hey, what can we do? Like, I heard there's a boat that flipped or capsized or whatever it may be. They're like, we need help looking for the survivors or anything. And I was like, okay. So we immediately got in and started finding debris fields, and we would radio the Coast Guard, and they'd send the chopper over, do a grid pattern over us, and then they'd fly away. And then at that time we knew it was time to clean up the debris. And we picked up their coolers, their shoes, life jackets.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I should not be picking up life jackets.
Yeah. If you're picking up life jacket, that's a bad sign.
Bad sign. And I don't think it was like anything other than inexperience.
Right.
And I'm sad that that's what led to this, and it really breaks my heart that somebody unfortunately just made a bad judgment call, and it cost 3 souls.
Yeah.
But he came in a max ebb. I mean, I think he crossed at 10:15. Max ebb was at 10:30.
Yeah.
And that river is scary.
That river's no joke.
I got almost 400 bar crossings under my belt, and I still respect that thing.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh,
you have
God,
to.
yeah.
I mean, I did an episode with RJ. Was a handful of episodes back, and obviously there was that addicted video.
I was there that day too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Holy
RJ
shit.
called me. He was like, "We just took 1,000 gallons over the sidewall," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I watched the video, and it could happen to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take much for things to go wrong out there.
If that were me, I'd have been dead.
Oh yeah,
small boat or swimming.
Yeah. I mean, we all run like 1,300 gallon per hour bilges.
Yeah.
So we can really get a lot of water out of our boat quick.
Right.
But I mean, like 2 days ago, it was 6 to 8 waves. I was crossing. It hadn't even restricted it yet. I mean, it just basically picked up. I called the Coast Guard as soon as I got across the South Jetty. I was like, hey, we probably should think about reevaluating the bar. And he was, the senior on there was like, yeah, okay, we'll send the boat out. So they're very responsive. I think the Coast Guard's doing the best job they can with a very temperamental situation.
Right.
I mean, they don't call it the graveyard of the Pacific for no reason. I mean, and they do the best they can. They try to be out there. I see those boats sitting out there just waiting for trouble. And they have a very hard job. This is probably the most physically demanding port in the lower 48.
Yeah.
So, my heart goes out to those guys. Because, I mean, some of those kids that were out there, like, helping us pick up stuff or doing their job, that's the first time they've ever seen a casualty.
Yeah.
And it was, like, really hard for some of them to process. Like, did we lose somebody today? Like, yeah, we lost somebody today.
Unfortunately, you lost 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, thoughts and prayers go out to the families
100%.
of the 3 that were lost. And the 2 survivors, I can't imagine what they're going through.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just glad that there were survivors.
Right.
And I heavily encourage everybody, if you're going across the Columbia River Bar, wear a life jacket. 100%.
Yep.
Like, even in the river, we wore life jackets.
Yep.
Because, I mean, if you go down, like, 4 years ago, we had those 2 boats hit above the bridge.
Yeah.
And literally, within minutes, both of those boats were sunk and gone.
Yeah.
I mean, minutes. It doesn't take but minutes. So always put a life jacket on.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. That's crazy. I actually almost forgot about that
Yeah.
situation.
I was in that mix, and I looked at my people and I said, we need to get out of here. It's just too busy.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? I was like, well, we can fish below the bridge. We'll catch fish down there.
Right.
And we literally picked up our rods, ran below the bridges, and then not more than 20 minutes later, we get a radio call, like, from the Coast Guard, like, boats, sinking and la. And we're like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, no kidding.
But luckily, there was lots of people there to, kind of pick everybody up out of the water.
Yeah,
so
that situation.
Not so much the situation
worse.
on Saturday.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, let's get into some of the. I guess we'll lift our spirits here a little bit. Fishing's been good.
Oh, it's been red hot.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys been getting into coho, obviously.
We're
been
100%.
Getting some Chinook.
Yeah, we're 100%. Like, we have not gone on a trip yet this season. I think this is maybe 15th or 20th trip I've been on.
Yeah.
There's coasties right there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, UH-60 there. I think they call them Seahawks. We call them Blackhawks in the Army, but they're Seahawks here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But no, we're 100%. I think this is like probably our 20th trip out this season today. And, it's been really good fishing. They have really nice size to them.
Oh, yeah.
So typically this time of year, you're going to get in like, 4 to 6s.
Yeah.
We're mostly like 8 to 10s.
Okay.
So today I got some that were over 12.
That's awesome.
That was really awesome.
Really good quality of fish so far then.
We fished and we caught 13, and I did my count, and I was off by 1. I thought I had 14.
Oh.
So we pulled all the rods in and like took all the leaders off, and we're just putting everything away. And I went to count the fish, and I was like, wait, we're 1 short. So we put everything back out, and by the time I could, get to catching, I was the only one left that could. Everybody else was fish prison, so I was the only one that could catch fish.
Yeah,
I landed 6 fish to catch 1.
Yeah,
so I was like, to kill 1, I guess.
Yeah.
So they were all like, "Which one's going to be a keeper?" I was like, this is the wild. Just get the gaff and knock it off, and pull the hooks out and stuff. And finally, the last fish, was a hatchery. But it's been a really good season. It's been fun. Conditions are hit and miss.
Yeah.
So it looks like
seems
tomorrow,
like the weather's been fairly crazy.
It has. It's just been up or down. Like 3 days of crap and then 5 days of good.
Yeah.
2 days of crap and then 4 more days of good.
Yeah.
So it looks like Monday it's going to deteriorate, and we'll be kind of sitting back at the dock waiting for it to get shaped back up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then Thursday the river opens, and you'll have a hell of a lot more for options.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Shit. What's next?
We got tons of stuff.
Bottom fish.
Bottom fish.
Yeah.
Bottom fish has not been bad.
Yeah.
It's not been great.
Yeah.
But it's not been bad. A lot of good fishing on the South Jetty. A Jetty's been okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But Tillamook Head's always on fire.
Right.
So if you have the fuel, you have the time, make the run.
If you have the boat to do it.
Yeah. You need a bigger boat. Nothing wrong with, having a bigger boat to get you down there a little quicker, a little smoother. But it's been really good. The wash rock kind of towards the shoreline has been where I can get most of them. There's a little hump there that's like 60 to 75 feet. It's been really productive.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you... we didn't touch on TFO at all yet, did we?
No, not at all.
No. So tell us a little bit about kind of what you do with TFO.
So I started back with TFO in about 2012.
Okay.
And Eric Bakken's the founder. He's kind of the brainchild behind it, him and Finnegan. And
I guess we should start by saying, for anybody that's not familiar.
The Fallen Outdoors.
The Fallen Outdoors.
Outdoors. We call it TFO. I know there's Temple Fork Outfitters.
Right. Yep.
But the TFO to me is the Fallen Outdoors.
Yep.
It's a nonprofit. It's a 501c3.
Okay.
Absolutely none of us get paid. The whole board of directors are volunteers. Every staff member we have are volunteers, 750 volunteers across the United States.
Gotcha.
And I've been the president for, I think, the last 4 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I took over in 2019. So it'll be 5 years now.
Yeah.
And Eric was the president from 2009 to 2019, and it's a 10-year term. So I got 5 years to go.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure. I honestly love it. We have several really nice sponsors that help us out. I do, several trips. I think I'm at 70 vets this season.
Oh, there you go.
So 1 year during COVID, I got 283. I don't know if that record will ever be broken.
Oh, shit.
But I had a lot of free time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I was recently retired and was still getting paychecks, so I just fished and drank whiskey.
Yeah. There you go.
So, when my kids asked me what I did during COVID, I was like, I was either fishing or drunk.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah.
It seems like a super rewarding
It is.
deal.
It's great to give that peer mentoring. So you get, a guy like yourself, a guy like me, maybe like an older gentleman, and then like some young kids.
Right.
So you get an 18-year-old vet, or active duty kid. He thinks the whole world's out to get him, and that 60-year-old guy looks at him and goes, man, the world doesn't even care about you.
Yeah.
And guys like me are like, it's going to get so much better. Like your life, like you think you're on top of it right now, but honestly, it's just going to keep getting better and better. And they need to hear that. Like you as a young man, probably didn't hear that enough. And I know I didn't hear that enough as a young man. Like it's going to get better.
Right.
But it is nice to be told by somebody that's in the same shoes that you're wearing. Like your situation will improve whether you know it or not.
Right.
You know, as long as you keep making sound, prudent decisions, it's going to get better.
Well, what people don't ever really tell you either is life is like a fucking roller coaster.
Oh yeah, there's ups and downs. Like you're on top of the world one day. I think the best quote I've ever heard was this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Tom Hanks during like a round robin thing.
Yeah.
And I put that to thought, and I was like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Like any bad thing you're going through will be over, and any good thing you're going through will eventually be over.
Yeah.
But it'll pass,
Right.
and you'll get to the next cycle of life.
Yeah. And being able to take a lot of those vets and kind of show them that, you know what I mean? Like that's got to be huge.
It's an ebb and flow, you know, just like the river, you know, like there's slack tides and then there's ebbs, you know, and you just got to ride it and enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. What day is that? September 7th. I'm donating my time and donating my boat to Keith Hyde. And what is that? Is that the Steelheaders chapter that they're doing that day?
It's through the Fallen Outdoors, but the Steelheaders kind of organize it. We have a very symbiotic relationship with Steelheaders. They're a great group. Keith and Donnie are lifelong friends, and I'm sure I'll know them till our last days of existence, and they're just wonderful people. Can't say enough good things about them.
They seem awesome.
They're awesome.
I got to talk to Keith on the phone for a little bit the other day, and
He's great.
He seems like a super
I've known Keith probably 10 years now. He's a retired Vancouver PD officer. He's a mounted a horse guy.
Oh yeah,
he's mounted, and then he was a patrol cop too. And later in life, he was an investigator for like welfare fraud and stuff.
Oh, really?
I was like, really? And he was like, oh, it's so much fun. So, you know, he's a great guy. He's a hell of a fisherman, too.
Yeah, seems like it.
I've got on his boat and fished with him before and learned a ton.
Yeah.
Literally, he could be a guide if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he does a lot with Talon, too.
Yeah. He's a Talon pro staff as well, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, anyways, I'm going to donate my time to do that on the 7th of September, and I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be kind of eye opening because I've never done anything like that.
You'll
before.
enjoy it. I was supposed to be there, but one of my sponsors for my boat was like, "This is the only date I can come into town and fish with you."
Yeah.
And I was like, and he's a vet. So I'm going to kind of reach out to Keith and be like, listen, my guy really wants to fish. Like his crew, can we just be part of it?
Yeah.
And I'll like provide all the T-shirts or whatever may need to happen. So we'll see.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to it. We got about 3 minutes left.
Sure.
You got anything you want to dive into before we got to go?
Just get out here, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great season.
Oh, it's going to be great.
It's going to be phenomenal. With the size of these fish, and we haven't really even seen any good Chinook runs yet.
Right.
So they're coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming. Like, they're catching them up in Westport now. They'll come down here, but I think this is going to be a season we talk about for many, many years to come.
Well, and I can tell you for sure, there are fish close to home. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I got buddies out steelhead fishing that are just hooking up left and right, and they're like, you will not believe what I just put back.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a fabulous season. I know money's tight right now. I mean, we're in 2024 economics, and it's just not what it was, 4 years ago or even 3 years ago for that matter.
Yeah.
And I get it's tight, but it is definitely a year that you're going to want to be out here, and it's probably worth spending a little money.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that. I don't want to sound greedy or anything, and I'd do it for free if I could, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I always tell everybody, like, the moment I, turn the key on in January, I'm $10,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
From guide fees and insurance and whatever thing. And but yeah, it's going to be an awesome year.
Yeah.
So we've been catching fish left and right.
And you can get some great quality fish out here too. I mean, look at the price of groceries.
Oh yeah. I had a guy the other day. I was like, well, what do fish like this cost at market? We just pike placed it. That's where I always send people to get prices because Pike's Market up there in Seattle has prices for everything.
Yeah.
$150 for a hatchery coho.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No
I was like,
kidding.
well, you got two of them.
Yeah.
So he felt like he was getting a pretty good deal that day.
Yeah. So definitely get yourselves out here.
Yeah.
Get
and
yourself
it's an experience. There's so much to do in a story. You just don't have to come here just for the fishing. I mean,
there's great food.
Fun people, great locations. Like you can go to Fort Stevens, you can go to Fort Columbia, you can go to Waikiki Beach. I mean, there's so much to see down here and do, and the weather. I mean, we were sitting in 72 degrees and sun this afternoon, cleaning the boat, and we're all like, this is so nice.
Yeah, I was sweating. fat.
Yeah,
So
I'm not exactly skinny, but yeah, it was super nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, shit. I think we'll go ahead and cut to a quick break here again, and we'll be right back with you guys for the earlier recorded part 2.
It was fun.
It was fun. Okay, we're back from our little intermission here. Brandon had to take a piss, and
I was doing the pee dance.
we put our heads together and we came up with some more stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And one thing that Brandon had suggested, I don't know if I said it at the beginning of the episode, but for those of you that don't know, that's the Columbia River behind me. We're out here in Astoria, Oregon.
Yeah.
And you wanted to touch on some of the important geography.
There you go. Yeah, it's a big word.
Yeah, the geography of fishing this Buoy 10 area.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many landmarks that they use, and guides will tell you, like, and if you're talking to people, it's nice to know, like, where's the checkerboard? Well, the checkerboard's in the middle of the river.
Yeah.
You know, just downriver of the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's there for a reason, because there's a big ass island of sand in the middle.
Yeah,
and you don't want to go to the right or the left of it very tight. You know, you stay in the green line.
Right.
But there's also the green line.
Yeah.
So which green line are you on? Are you on the green line below the bridge or the green line above the bridge?
Right.
You know, there's the anchorage. You know, the anchorage is where all the big ships anchor up. You know, hey, I'm over at the anchorage and I'm smacking them at 35 feet. Okay. You know, if you're not out here doing it, you don't know.
Right.
You know, the blind channel, like, it took me forever to figure that out. One, it's an awesome place to start your morning if you are out here and you want to get some Chinook super quick.
Yeah.
Usually that's where we'll try to go drop in. They just stage up in there, and it's kind of some slacker, water. And
when you get those big abs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of guys like Brandon Powers will sleep in.
Oh, yeah. He sleeps in.
Yeah.
That guy's a lazy bum. No, he's a great guy. I love him to death. Yeah.
He's sitting there in the background, so we're making fun of him.
Definitely. He's a good guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
If you can get out on his boat, get out on his boat.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah.
But then there's like the shipwreck. There's the red top. There's the $1 million shitter. You know, there's the church. You know, there's the sawdust pile. There are the condos. There's 2 sets of condos too. There's the ocean condos, which are in Long Beach, and then there's the river condos, which are in Hammond.
Right.
You know, there's Social Security Beach, which is downriver of Hammond, you know, and it's a really good place. I mean, you can pick up a lot of fish between the 22 and the 20 on the red line.
Yeah.
That's a really good spot sometimes. And it just pays to, like, take notice of some of these areas, because you are going to call somebody someday and they're going to tell you, like, some crazy off the wall, like, I'm at the church, I'm in 35 feet of water, you know, I'm going downriver, and you're like, where's the church? Well, that church is over on the Waco side or the Chinook side of the river.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, you know, right before the fort, you know, Fort Columbia. You know?
Yeah.
So it's there on the, you know, those are all landmarks, you know, like the one marker. Well, the one marker is right there before Waco, you know, and catch a lot of fish there too. So it pays to, like, be cognizant of some of that stuff, like the picket fence. There's a piece of pylon that runs right there between a Waco and Chinook. Mm-hmm. And if you have your A game and you have a really good crew of fishermen, you can catch some fish.
Yeah.
Like that incoming tides just starts pushing in. Yeah. Those fish just stack up right in front of that row of pylons. Bill Woods took me out there with my mom one day and a couple buddies, and we just put a clinic on.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I've done it a few times with clients, but usually it's a friends and family trip, and I really appreciate that Bill thought I was of that par to like take me out there and show me that piece of, you know, fishery. But oh yeah, there's some amazing places out here. You know, I mean, you go like I'm at Tongue Point. Well, if you don't know, you don't know. Right. Tongue Point is actually, you know, a place.
Yeah.
You know,
look east.
Yeah, look east. You'll see it. Yeah, it's just pretty obvious. But no, there's some, you know, it's just be cognizant when you're out here, and you and like I said, anybody ever calls me, I won't be the one to be like, I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you exactly where I'm at, exactly how deep I'm running, you know, exactly what kind of bait I'm running. Like, I want you to catch fish too.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't with me, I want you to be successful.
Yeah. I might tell you I don't know where I'm at, but that's because I'm kind of an idiot.
Yeah,
sometimes I don't know where I'm at.
For a long time, I didn't. I would just follow Cameron like a dog in heat. You know.
Yeah. So. I know. One of my first trips out in the ocean last year, I had called Mr. Powers in there, and just trying to get kind of the rundown. He's telling me, I'm like 17 and 43 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
that's a whole nother. So. Grid coordinates.
Yeah.
So Army, we use grid coordinates a lot.
Yeah.
And I had to learn all that in the river or in the ocean. You know, you call up, you know, Don Peck, and be like, hey, Don, where you at? I'm like 8/10.
Yeah.
Or 8/20 or whatever it is. Or you call Bill Monroe, like, where you at? And they aren't going to tell you, like, you know, precisely. But RJ the other day, he told me it was like 17/21, and I was like, okay. And I just took off, and literally the clients could not believe that I found him in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, we talk.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
at first Cameron thought I had like a homing device on his boat. But he when I was first learning and following him, he had a funny shaped engine like the new Mercuries.
Oh, right, yeah.
So that's how I would find him.
Right.
I would sit there with binoculars and I would look around, and he was the only one that was running that engine.
Yeah.
And I would find it, and I'm like, oh, that's where his ass is at. So and I'd chase him down, but no, being out there and knowing that kind of stuff is super important. And then your depth, like that really tells you like how far off the shelf you are or off the coast you are.
Yeah.
You know, Long Beach area, 50 feet, 50 to 30 feet. That's a prime area for Chinooks and things like that. And your cohos are going to be a little deeper sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, this season we've been banging it in all levels.
Yeah.
And I haven't put a rod deeper than 40 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're all in the top water.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
you're
super
getting
fun.
Chinook up there too.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Gordy with Black Dog the other day, he had like 5 or 6 nice Chinook on the boat.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and he
awesome.
just got into a good streak of them there at the condos. Between the lighthouse and the condos, and banged it out. He tried to call me, and I couldn't take the call. And about 30 minutes, I called him back, and I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "I'm on a hot streak, man. There's like bites everywhere." And I was like, "Well, where you at now?" And he's like, "Oh, it's dead."
You missed it.
Yeah. So,
yeah. And that's another thing in the river too is I didn't realize how important your depths are, even fishing out here. You know, because I've been out here on days with a hard ebb.
Yeah.
And you get the fish are almost running in a line like shad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Brandon was sitting there, and you know he's trolling that 40 line, for example.
Yeah.
I was trolling like the 45 line, and I wasn't in him.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
no, my first couple seasons, like Nick Powell would come by me and he'd be like throwing up gang signs and stuff. And it wasn't gang signs, it was depths. He was telling me like front rod 28, you know, or 25 or whatever, and then you're like middle rod, you know, like 32.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, what? And I finally like just got like curious, and I walked over to us. I was like, when I go by you, why are you like flashing finger signs at me? He goes, I'm telling you depths, dumbass. And I was like, oh, fuck,
that makes sense.
yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool. I mean, that I felt honored that he would actually like share that information with me.
Yeah.
But I also felt like a total dumbass because
Yeah.
I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together.
Right.
You know, so
yeah.
and trust me, I paid a lot more attention afterwards.
Yeah, and you know another thing going back to the geography of it is it's kind of a safety thing. You know, if you have your VHF and something happens to you, and you can't give them grid coordinates, or whatever, hey, I'm out here at the Washington side of the checkerboard.
Oh,
blah, blah,
I
blah.
never go out without the radio on.
Yeah,
like that radio, like I have it on toggle. The 2 switch, it's tied to my fuel.
Okay, yeah.
So my fuel gauge and my radio are on the same fuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important I feel like it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody wants to know how much fuel they got in the tank. I feel like communication is even more important. And get a UHF radio. I like a one in the boat with a big antenna. I have a big whip that I can put up if I need to, and I have a small whip that I use.
Okay.
So it can get extended. But I mean, yeah.
And get a handheld too, because
a handheld. I keep a handheld inside the. You saw my safety locker,
yep.
So I have a little safety box at the front of my boat. It's got my e-perp in it. It's got a handheld. It's got a fire extinguisher. It's got my flares. It's got my air horn. It's got my first aid kit. Anything safety you need is in that box.
Yeah.
And it's super important. You know? And I use those floating ones, the floating radios.
Yep, absolutely. And I just kind of looking back on the first segment of our episode that we have here. I want to take a moment to just say like our thoughts and prayers are with those
100%.
families and everybody involved in that boat capsizing. I know we kind of went off tangent there, but I didn't say it before. I feel like it needed to be said.
Zach, the client that was with me helping like recover all that, actually his neighbor is a relative of the family.
Oh shit.
And he was like, what do I say? And I was like, that's up to you, man, but honestly they don't need to know
that
we were like out there when it happened.
Right.
You know, like it's not going to give them any kind of solace or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I do hope that they recover the craft and they do recover the people. People need closure. You know, my father passed away when I was in Afghanistan, and it was really important for me to actually see him buried, and the Army was awesome. They flew me back for that. But that closure is super important, and I hope that they get it. I really do.
They haven't found him yet?
No.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So you said so 2 of them were lost, one drowned, and the other 2 are safe.
They're fine. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So wear your life jackets.
Oh yeah.
Understand how to.
You get on my boat. Here's what happens. You get on the boat, and I start handing you inflatables. I tell you, before we leave the marina, where the class 1s are, the type 1s.
Yeah.
They're up in the second cabinet. Here's where all the safety equipment is. But everybody's got self-inflating. I test them once a year, and I reload them every year, so they got fresh cartridges in them before Buoy 10 starts. Well, I put them in right in the 1st of July, and it's just good habits. Like I said, I had a guardian angel, and I think I've used every favor that the angel owed me.
Yeah, you're stressing the guardian angel out.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that anymore. I like guys will come out with me, and I got that nickname Mayhem in the Army.
Yeah.
But I lived up to it for a long time.
Yeah.
And now it's a little more refined. My buddy Nick comes out with me every year, and he goes, "Man, I just don't feel like I'm getting the Mayhem experience." And I was like, "It's more about the fishing and not so much the lack of safety."
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So obviously you spend a good portion of your time here.
Yeah.
What else do? You do a ton of stuff in terms of you do your shrimp.
Yep.
You do hunting trips. You
Yep.
do ducks.
Yep.
What dive into
I'm
that?
Basically a professional outdoorsman is kind of what I like to call myself. If you can legally hunt or fish it, I can help you do it. So I do turkey hunts. I got a turkey camp I set up in Springdale every year. So that's pretty much the beginning of my season. I don't even worry about springers anymore.
Yeah.
We do get a good run of springers, but I'm usually busy doing other stuff. I like to snowmobile in my off time too.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Me and my wife, we go ham.
Yeah.
We've spent way too much money on that.
That's funny.
but then I start turkeys, and I do a youth season, a couple days for youth, and get some kids out. Usually veteran kids or kids, that just don't have the situation they need. And then I do a turkey camp in Springdale. And then I roll into shrimping season.
Yeah.
We shrimp up and squim for about 2-3 months and do really well up there. It's a fun thing to do. If you haven't done it, you should probably try it. They're tasty. Oh my God, they're so good.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. And then we roll into ocean fishing in July, right after the 4th of July. Bring the boat down here and keep it here. And then we go to Buoy 10. We do Buoy 10 until about mid-September. Then I take about 2 weeks off to go to Alaska and moose hunt with some buddies of mine.
Okay.
And I'll tell you some stories there too. It's a learning curve. Alaska is like Washington on steroids.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's amazing. We literally float the Yukon and go up the Nation River and go up the Yukon Charlie and all these little tributaries and stuff. And trust me, some of the skills I've acquired here in the Pacific Northwest come in very handy up there. But even then, mistakes have been made and stories have been crafted.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, I start ducks. So I do ducks about mid-October. I usually do a couple puddle ducks out with some buddies and some clients and stuff. And then I get into sea ducks.
Okay.
And I'll hunt all of, usually the 4th of July, or not 4th of July, Thanksgiving on, I hunt with clients, and I have friends come in, routinely, hey, there's a friend's weekend, that's what we're going to do is just go smash. I have a couple leases across the state. I have, really good puddle duck hunting if you want it. Powers also, he's got some killer puddle duck spots.
Yeah, Powers and Revis.
And Revis, they got some killer spots.
Yeah.
But sea ducks is kind of my specialty. I got a 2-man layout, and I got a single-man layout. And then I run the Columbia out there, and I rewrap it for the duck season, make it a little less flashy.
Gotcha.
But we do really good on that, and that runs pretty much to the end of January, and then go back to snowmobiling February, March, and April, and then mid-April turkey season starts. And that's just the cycle I'm in, and it's super fun, and I get to meet amazing people. So, honestly, some of my clients are now some of my best friends.
Oh, really?
So, it's like Zach. He's one of my best clients. I love that guy. We turkey hunt together. We deer hunt together. I know his kids. I know his wife.
Yeah.
brother-in-law and dad and all sorts of stuff,
Yeah.
So, it just kind of becomes a family type of deal situation, more so than like a business kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're up there doing ducks, you said sea ducks, are you doing like Harlequin or like
No,
Scoter?
Harleys. Well, Harleys just came back on the menu this year. They're going to give out 38 tags for the whole country.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you got to put in. It's like a lottery.
Oh, geez.
2 years ago, they shut it down. But mostly like scoters, white wing scoters, Barrow's goldeneye, old squaw, or long-tailed ducks, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Redbreasts and mergansers.
Really?
Yeah, people like I'm part of the Ultimate Waterfowl Challenge or Hunt 41 type of deal, and a lot of people are just trying to harvest all 41 species in North America.
Okay,
You can get 25 species here in Washington.
That's awesome.
So it is super awesome, and I have groups that book with me every season.
Yeah.
And they're just like, take us on an adventure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. So I'll just come up with some crazy harebrained idea, and they give me a couple $1,000 and we just go. Like one group this year was like, they've hunted with me for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And they're like, we want to kill canvasbacks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know where some canvasbacks are.
Yeah.
We just drove out to Tri-Cities and banged on canvasbacks for 2 days.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, and then we went. Oh, that was awesome. So their dad was like this 80-year-old man, and he was actually in really good shape for being 80.
Yeah.
And we're sitting out in Branden, Washington, on the Hood Canal, and we're banging on birds, widgeon, mallard, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he always wanted a really nice pintail.
Right.
Never got one. And this freaking stud bull pintail, diesel. I mean, this thing was diesel. It was huge. Comes flying in, just solo, all by itself. We're like, Dad, it's all you.
Yeah.
And he reaches up and just stones it. Go out there, like, 12-inch sprigs, double sprig, just beautiful bird. I bring it back, give it to him. He's like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna beat that. I was like, hey man, the day's young,
Yeah.
So the boys go behind us to try to kill a hooded merganser that we saw fly in. I don't know why, but they did. So me and Pops are sitting out there, and this mallard comes flying in by itself, and I was like, hey Pops, it's all yours, man. I'm out retrieving birds with the dog, trying to throw rocks. The dog figures out where the birds are. And he stones the thing, and it flies into a bush. And we don't even think about it. We're like cleaning up birds at the end of the day. And I was like, hey, there's one over in the bush over there. And his son goes to get it and picks it up. And he goes, hey, this has got a band on it.
Oh, man.
That old man had never shot a banded duck.
Really?
And he was so ecstatic. And that's the energy that you get from like doing this, like taking people out. Like you're like living their memories with them.
Right.
He sat there in the pickup or in the excursion on the way back with this banded mallard in his lap.
Yeah.
And he was just like so ecstatic.
He just forgot about that bull sprig he had.
Oh yeah. It was like, that was garbage,
Yeah.
So he did a little taxidermy work. He sent me a photo. He actually did a really nice job with it.
That's
but,
awesome.
He got a really nice stormy widgeon.
Oh, yeah.
He got that banded mallard that was good, and then he got that pintail, and he did a dead mount.
What a bag.
Oh man. Oh yeah. We banged out a 4-man limit in like 2 hours.
Oh, that's
killer.
killer.
We were being picky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That shrimping deal that you do seems badass too.
It's fun. It's a super laid back trip. So like go out in the morning about 8, do a first trip, come back, get a little lunch, and then we do an afternoon trip at 1. But it's, if you just want like a lot of bang for your buck, that's the best trip, because you're getting, 10 pounds of shrimp. Market price is anywhere from $60 to $40.
Oh, okay.
So $400 to $600 of shrimp is what you're getting.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
$250 is all we charge.
Yeah.
Weekdays we're like $200.
Yeah.
And it's a fun time.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. If you bought pots and you're just not having any luck with them, because there is a lot of like science to it.
Right.
Knowing where to go, knowing what kind of bait to use, like the right consistency of your bait, that kind of stuff. I'll tell you everything I know.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm gonna like, oh, this is my trademark. I make videos with Addicted,
Yeah.
and I show you every ingredient I put in.
Yeah.
And the exact amounts of them.
And it seems like Clint loves it.
Clint hates that stuff. I like dabbed it on my finger and it's like, hey, this is all for you.
Yeah.
He's like, no. So,
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh man, what's next? What do we got? You said you had an Alaska story.
oh,
Let's dive into an Alaska
a couple
story.
years ago, my buddy had this harebrained idea that we're going to take a Zodiac with a jet pump to Alaska.
Yeah.
And I don't know, have you ever been on the Zodiac? You remember those two guys coming in this morning?
Yeah, I've been on
it was
Zodiac.
a little bigger than that.
Okay.
But not much.
Yeah.
And we fit like all the fuel we needed in it, all the food we needed in it, and floated down the Yukon River.
Oh, man.
And I was like, you know what? We should take some gear out of this boat. And they're like, no, we need everything in case we want to set a camp up. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take my gear out of this boat. I can drive it back down to where we're at. We found a nice, like, forest cabin in the woods. Yeah. They have, like, cabins there that you can use. And so I took a cooler out that was mine full of whiskey, because I'm not risking the whiskey.
No,
and I took, like, my bag and one of my guns and all my other gear, and I just left it up on the bank. There's nobody within 50 miles in any direction. It was a 5-hour float just to get down there.
Yeah.
So start running up the river, and we don't know this river. It's the Nation River. It's got a right tributary and a left tributary. Turns out you want to go to the left side. And we go up, and we run across this gravel bar and suck up a bunch of gravel into the grate. And I'm like, all right. So I clean all this gravel out, and don't think to look at the shift linkage.
Uh-oh.
And I put the boat back in the water, and I go to shift, and it won't shift. There's a rock jammed in the linkage on the jet. And I'm like sitting here just trying, and we start drifting back, and there's this Widowmaker in the middle of the river. And I was like, this is going to be bad, guys. This is going to be so bad. And they're all looking at me like eyeballs like that big around. They're like, you're the GO captain. Like, you know what you're doing. I was like, we're going under. Yeah. And we hit that log, that Widowmaker, and literally like 2 seconds later, down. We go all the way under. Oh, no. Everybody pops up. Thank God. Yeah. And my buddy Brian, who's one of my best friends, just pops up. His life jacket's super inflated. Mine, I have a mechanical, so I don't have an automatic one. And I'm like, I'm swimming, I'm fine. And then my buddy James is on the other side of the boat, and he's like, my life jacket didn't go off. I was like, I can put your feet down. The boat floats around. We lose like the chainsaw, like a gun, like a really nice, like 7mm.
Oh no!
A bunch of gear. Most of our gear is gone. So we get the boat to the shore. James is sitting there with his fucking inReach, talking to his wife, telling her we flipped the boat. I'm like, what the fuck, man? We don't even know what the situation is here. Like, we don't know if we need help or not. Right. Like, I take the inReach away from, throw it in the fucking woods, because that's all he's doing. I'm like, just flip the fucking boat over. Like, let's go. And Brian's an animal, man. He's out there like grabbing shit and getting things. And James gets in the line and gets stuff. Flip the boat over, and most of the gear is still in the boat. Thank God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like 70% of it, but like a lot of like
the important shit.
The important shit is in the bottom, like the battery.
Yeah.
That we were gonna like charge all of our cell phones off of, and the solar panel that we were gonna. That's all gone.
Oh no.
The toolkit. I learned valuable. Always tie your toolkit off to something. Yeah. That went away.
Yeah.
So we flip the boat over, start policing stuff up. Engine won't start. I'm messaging Casey, Kelly, and Cameron like, hey, like, how do I get this engine to start? And Casey's like, you got WD-40? And I was like, no. He was like, just pull the plugs, and I had a crescent wrench or something I could find. I pulled the plugs and pulled the pull start like 6 times, threw all the water out. Yeah. And it wasn't going to start. Yeah. That thing was so swamped. So we float down back to the Yukon, and we picking up stuff along the way, and Brian's like, my Zen's gone. And I'm like, is that important? He's like, I will fucking kill you all if I don't have Zen. So we're like throwing this anchor out to, like, see a bag or something in the weeds. We throw this anchor out and go grab it. And I'm running up and down the shoreline and stuff. And all of a sudden I see this little black dry bag. And I pick it up and go, what's this? He goes, oh, you guys don't have to die. And it was Zen. It was a whole bag of Zen.
That's hilarious.
It was awesome. And get that and get everything we can. And we get back out there, and we're just sitting there kind of licking our wounds. Yeah. And just like, oh my God, like we almost died. Yeah. Like that's the like other than in combat, that's probably the closest I've ever come to dying. Yeah. And we see this thing floating out, and I'm like, that doesn't look like a log. That's a weird looking log. And I grab a pair of binos. I have binos on my chest, and they're wet, but I can still see through them. I was like, that's a rifle case. Oh. And Brian's like, my 300 Win Mag's in that. It's a Christensen Arms with like a, $7,000 rifle, with the scope and everything. And I was like, no shit. I just start swimming. Yeah. I mean, I swam probably a half a mile in the Yukon, which is like 38-degree water. Yeah. And grab that. We call it Moses now. Yeah. Because I found it in the reeds on the side of the river, and swam all the way back with that rifle. And he's a very grateful man for that. But 20 minutes goes by. We've tried to start this engine like 150 times and nothing. And this boat comes cruising down the river. We're like flashing our arms and waving and hollering. And this old couple pulls up. They're in their like 70s.
Yeah.
And this guy Gunner gets out and goes, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh, we flipped our boat up the way." That's never good. And I was like, "You got any tools?" He goes, "Where are yours?" I said, "Up the river on the bottom." He goes, "That's a bad place for him to be."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Can I borrow yours?" And he goes, "You're not going to put them at the bottom of the river, are you?" I said, No, sir, I won't. So we got plugs out. He had a little fuel, put a little fuel in there, got everything fired. We literally stayed out there for like 15 more days and hunted. Geez. And hooked up with this couple, and they're still to this day are like some of our best friends. Like, we go hunt with them every year. They love it because we're young and kind of able-bodied, and they're a little older and a little slower. And, we could pack the meat out when we get something in that thing. But I ended up getting gout.
Oh, no.
Do you know what gout is?
My uncle had it really bad.
Oh, it's like a midget in your toe with an ice pick, and he's like climbing his way out.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't know how I got it. Maybe I was drinking too much. I mean, that could have been it.
Yeah.
But we had no way for me to like get rid of it. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It just persists.
Oh, no.
So I'm literally sitting in camp for like 2 days cooking bacon with a 10 mil in my lap, waiting for a bear.
Oh, man.
That was 2 days of my life. And then I finally thought I could probably message my wife at my inReach and she could get a prescription ready for me.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, the nearest pharmacy is in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Yeah.
Which is a 5-hour boat ride, followed by a 12-hour car ride to just get the medicine. Then you got another 12-hour car ride back to at least a 3-hour boat ride.
Yeah.
And we did it.
Oh, man.
We was like, we could go into town. We need parts. We need stuff for this boat.
Yeah.
So we all just drove up, grabbed the medicine. I started taking it. It's prednisone or something, and it gets you healthy super quick.
Yeah, yeah.
And get back out there and finish our hunt. We didn't get anything that season. Last year, Gunner got a nice moose and got to bring a bunch of moose meat home, and caught a lot of fish and had some fun.
Yeah.
We do it every year. It's kind of like my time to like punch out and just like check out from the world. So I'm pretty tuned in guy. Like a lot of people come to me with issues and problems, and I don't mind one bit. God's put me through what he's put me through, so I do have the answers.
Right.
But that is my time to kind of just like roll pitch and just be completely with the boys.
That's awesome. Man, that sounds like a blast.
It is. It's so much fun.
It looks like we're getting a little short on time here.
Sure.
Do you have any sponsors or anything that you want to shout out?
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you?
Obviously, Talon Rods, great sponsor. Oscar, Jake, good people.
They're awesome people.
The Wills Cabinets has been with me since the get-go. Liberty Electric. Not that you could buy anything they do because they do it all for the government. Fence Butler, that guy is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
I got a couple other guys that are out of state. Obviously, they have their own niches, but they want to support me. But if you want to get a hold of me, hit my website up. I use Peak Pro, so you can book a trip at any time on that app, and it's super easy, super useful. Or just reach out to us on Facebook. Facebook, honestly, is kind of how we get probably 80% of our business.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't mind answering questions, so I'm kid-friendly. If you have... today I had an older gentleman that was a little, mobility issues getting off the boat. You saw that. And I don't mind a bit. Like, I'm going to get old.
Yeah.
I'm going to get...
You're accommodating.
Yeah, I'm accommodating. Yeah, very accommodating. I'll rearrange the chairs. I use 4 pedestals and 2 boxes for a reason.
Right.
I mean, we had one guy has back issues. I was like, just come sit by the chart plotter. It's a way better, smoother ride back here. And then... so I'll work with you. I want you to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I'm gonna get old too someday.
That's awesome.
Not that I'm not old already, 'cause I am.
Yeah. Oh man. Alrighty. Quick shout out to my sponsors, real quick. Shout out to Fish Sauce, Anglers Unlimited, Robert and Jen are awesome.
They're awesome.
Oh man,
they just put a bunch of reels back together for me.
Oh really?
And I tell you what, they're gonna save my season because I keep blowing. Well, I don't blow up the reels. Hey, if you're fishing a cold water, don't hold the drag down or the release button and reel at the same time. It's 100% bad.
Yeah. No kidding. North Wild. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting one?
Talon.
Oh, Talon.
Yeah.
Talon. Yeah, Talon. I'm excited about
Whoever
that
wins those 12,
That's gonna be a
12
fun
foot
one.
rods is going to just fall in love with them.
Yeah. Cold water strong. That was the last
strong.
one.
They
That was
make
the
some
last one.
great tackle.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. As always, if you guys are liking what you're hearing and seeing, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Share us out there with your friends.
100%.
Leave a comment. Let me know who else you guys want to see on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're about out of time.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to coming back, maybe talk a little bit about the full and outdoors.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. It's been
I
a great
appreciate
time.
it.
Yeah.
You guys have yourselves a good weekend. Tight lines, and we'll see you next time.